This is Rowena Dooley asking Sol citizens to report for duty. Asking Sol citizens to report for duty.
Hey, greetings. Welcome back to Soul Voices. I'm GriffinGamingRPG, and we are back. It's been a couple weeks since we've been here, but we are back, and we are happy to have you here with us. Hopefully you guys have been taking care of yourself, having a great week, as we are getting closer and closer to the end of August, and also getting ready to go to September, which means we're a month away from October, which means we are very close to CitizenCon. So a lot of cool stuff that we're going to be talking about today. Missed you guys. Hope everyone's doing well. Shout outs to folks who are here. I know I see Citizen Joel is here, kicking us off with the big 07 at the beginning of the show. Today I was running a little bit late, having some issues here, trying to get some things together. As you guys know, Soul Voices is our one-on-one conversation where you, the community, get to come in and talk with me about the topics that I pick, whether they come from Spectrum, Reddit, the gaming industry, or just stuff that comes into my head sometimes to talk about. And so today is going to be one of those days where it's going to be stuff that came in my head to talk about. We haven't had shows the past couple of weeks. I had an obligation the week before last week. I decided to take a break, take a day off. I feel like I was kind of stretching to have a conversation about stuff when things have been on hold. But today is kind of a continuation of that. And so our title today of our show is called Doom and Gloom Again. And so you say, what are you talking about, Griff? What's going on, New Souls? How are you? Good to see you here. JD Winslow, 07 to you as well. Thank you for being here today on YouTube. It was interesting. As you guys know, one of the responsibilities that we have when it comes to, I hear you, Citizen Joel, doing these shows is that we are always trying to keep our ears open to the heartbeat of not only what CIG is doing, but also our own community. And over the last few weeks, this has been post Invictus, I guess. Maybe once we got through Invictus and as we were starting to approach Ship Showdown, and with the release of finally the release of 324 into the PTU, I noticed a certain feeling. I don't know, maybe I sensed it even before that. I want to say that when 323 was coming out and CIG announced that the hangar refactor, we used to call it the hangar refactor, but the persistent hangars and all that stuff, when that was going to be put on hold and pushed back, it kind of put a dent in some of the excitement because a lot of people were looking forward to that mechanic for years. And, hearing it was being delayed once again was a bit disappointing for a lot of people in the community. CIG's statement was basically that it just was not where it needed to be for a launch. Some people were upset about that. I kind of felt, in light of the timing, and what I mean by that is, and forgive me here, I have to take a bandage off that I put on way too tight. My fingers turning blue. In light of that, I did feel that CIG made the right decision, because if you guys remember, that was also as we were coming into Invictus and putting out a patch that was definitely not ready would not have been a good thing, especially when CIG is using Invictus as a way to bring in new players, bring back old players. And as many of you know, who've been testing in 324, there's a lot of problems. It would have been a fiasco if it had launched with us during Invictus. So of course we went from 323 to 0.1, I think 0.2 maybe, or whatever. I know it was a 0.1, and I can't even remember now. But then it went into PTU, and we started playing it. Now, there was a lot of questions when CIG also said that it wouldn't be like a 323.2 or 0.3 patch, but that it would be a 324. And some people felt a certain kind of way about that. Well, does it really need to be its own patch, you know? And so there was a lot of stuff that led up to how people's sentiments have been feeling. So I'm back to this thing about doom and gloom again, because I think that's some of what precipitated the sentiment and the feeling that's going on right now. But I also think it's a little bit more. So let's jump into this very first topic that we have for today. And the first topic is missing the obvious for 324. Some of the points I just mentioned, I think now are a bit more obvious. One, that 324 coming out during Invictus would not have been a good thing. Secondly, I think that people minimized what 324 represented. In other words, they just saw it as, oh, it's just the hangars. It's just we're getting them move cargo containers, and that was it. But I think we found out that there's a lot more to it than just moving cargo containers, and more than the hangars. It's been like a complete rework, overhaul, rethinking of how we handle all of our inventory, whether it's in a hangar, whether it's on you as a person, whether it's on your ship. So I think that we missed that, you know, that there was a reason why this patch needed to be its own thing. Now, some people maybe it's because we're so used to a patch containing several things. I think this one only has about 6 things in it. Maybe 5 or 6 things in it total. I think it was a smart move for them to separate it. The labeling thing, 323.4 or 324.4, whatever. I think it just needed to be issues that were dealt on their own. And so my question to you is, as we're approaching this, and I'd say missing the obvious, I want to say, how have you felt about 324 so far? For those of you who've had a chance to go in and try it out, do you feel that CIG should have went on ahead and pushed it out anyway? Do you feel that renaming it was just a waste of time and it just could have called it another point something? How do you feel about 324, the decisions that have been made? There was a pretty big decision made recently about the way inventory was held, using the item banks. Right now they've shifted it so that our personal items are already in the item bank when we come. We don't have to pull them from the warehouse. We actually suggested that, and I'm sure we were not the only ones, but I know that I put a post on Spectrum saying, hey, let's make personal items readily available. Don't throw them in the warehouse. If I want them in the warehouse, I'll put them in the warehouse. And that's been an adjustment for people, you know, but there are still some issues and some bugs going on in the patch. So let's open the floor up. Anybody who wants to come in, give me your thoughts about 324. In other words, do you like the direction they're going? Do you think they're going the wrong direction with 324? This is a major change in how we're going to be handling cargo. Some of you may have had the chance to do the Blockade Runner mission that just got out this last week. How did you feel about Blockade Runner? Did it feel like it was something different? Was it a step up from used to be the Xeno Threat stuff? Or not Xeno Threat, yeah, Xeno Threat, or what was it called? Not Xeno Threat, I forget what the other one's called. But, you know, how do you feel about it? That's basically what we want to know. So I've got Fist to Face. He's here right now. Let's bring Fist in, have some conversation with him. Hey, buddy, how are you?
Hey, Griff. Hello?
How are you?
I can't hear you in Discord.
You can't hear me in Discord. Wow. Okay, hold on.
Hello?
You can't hear me, huh? Give me 1 second. Why can't he hear me in Discord? Let's try something. Hold on. How about if I come here? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, that's interesting. Alrighty.
Yeah, I was like,
Um,
I'm checking to see if it was me too.
yeah,
So, but
okay.
yeah,
No
okay.
problem.
Yeah. So my thoughts on first off, let me give my thoughts on how I feel about 324 as
Okay.
far as the hanger stuff.
Okay.
I think it's a good direction. Obviously, we know that that's the direction that they wanted to go as far as things being physicalized. I mean, of course, there could be some improvements. As far as I went in, and let me get my kind of thought. I went into 324 kind of just seeing how the way I could decorate
Mm-hmm.
things. There's it's definitely going to be a headache. They do need to get a better grid system when it comes to doing certain things like that. But that'll come.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
As far as doing the blockade runner, me and Pops going out there, it was, my experience with it was actually fairly good.
Okay.
Because when we were in combat over at Everest, combat was actually surprisingly smooth.
Okay.
I was really taken back because usually, especially when you go up against an arrow or something like that, a fast plane,
Mm-hmm.
you would get that kind of rubber banding from the NPC. They would
Mm-hmm.
jump back, and I didn't see a lot of that.
Right.
So I was like, wow, okay, that's really cool in my mind, thinking, man, okay, this is progress.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, the PTU is not the live service because you have a bigger population and
Right.
stuff like that. So if it holds up to what I saw or improves in a live server, then I am definitely like, wow, okay, cool.
Okay.
So those are my thoughts on 324.
Yeah, one thing I think that a lot of people noticed was performance. That even with all the wacky stuff, the game ran very well. There was also, from my assessments and comments from other people, there was also another graphics pass, and the visuals look better. There's more visuals they've added to space stations. There's lighting that's been added, and I know for a lot of people that's all aesthetic, and it's not that it's not meaningful, but they want to see the same level of progress when it comes to game mechanics, right? The playability of the game, and that's understandable.
Right.
You do go in and get a little bit of woo and ow from the the wow factor of visuals, but then when it comes to playing, that kind of loses a little bit of its luster when you can't play the game or things are really buggy.
Right.
So I do appreciate the fact that visually the game is stunning. We were in Orison the other day, and I went there, and after running around for about 15 minutes, I realized that I could tell that my game performance, where things would normally get sluggish in certain areas or whatever, I noticed that didn't happen. I said, wow, man, or the clouds even look normal now. They don't look all pixelated, so there have been some improvements in that area of tech. But to your point, those other areas, and we know that they're still pushing through it, like you said. The one thing I have told people, and Fist, I'm glad you opened this right at the beginning. It's interesting because I would have thought that the first thing that people were cool about was to maybe do some freight stuff and cargo stuff. No, the thing that everybody tried to do right off the bat was decorate their hangar. And
Man,
like you said, the grids don't work on the floor. I went and bought furniture. I bought furniture.
Yes.
I put in that little corner over there, and I put the table and the couch. I came back the next day, that stuff was gone. I was like, what happened to my furniture? So it is funny that those things that sometimes we don't think the players will be excited about, that's the thing that people jumped into right away.
Yeah. One more thing so you can get to other people. My thing is, like you said, with the decoration, I was so excited about doing it because listen, when it does get to the live service, stuff like that, listen, I will kill you just so I can furniture my base. So I can, you know what I mean? It makes sense. Listen, I will do PvP. I will do PvE if it gives me the money to go buy some furniture.
Decorate your joint, right?
Exactly.
All right, Fizz. Thanks, man. Thanks for kicking us off, bro. All right, let me bring in Flero. Haven't heard from Flero in a little while. Hey, Flero, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. What you got?
I feel like for 324, the persistent hangers, I mean, they're really cool. Don't get me wrong, but I just feel like the focus should have just been more on server meshing, in my opinion. Like they should have prioritized that before this. Because right now it just feels like this patch cycle is just kind of boring. I mean, well, we got the other stuff from 323, but now we have even newer problems.
Yeah.
Now, like with my experience with Blockade Runner, like I've ran into some like server performance issues, but I've heard some other people, like I was talking with Pops and Sirius about it. They were having a really good experience, which is great. And I really hope that when it hits live, it will actually work and not tank the server FPS, because then it's just going to be even a more horrible experience.
I hadn't heard that had happened. Really, that's what happened, huh? With the blockade thing, the server FPS dropped off.
From my experience, but
that's what I mean.
Everyone has their
that's interesting. No, I hadn't. You're the first person I've heard who's told. That's why I'm interested, because I hadn't heard anybody say anything funny about performance with blockade runners. So that's an issue. Yeah, it needs to be taken care of for sure. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it was like I haven't tried it recently, so I hope
maybe they've touched it.
It's a lot better. But from my experience, it was like 5 to 6 FPS, and it was like,
I think I remember seeing something about in the patch notes, not this one, but maybe the one before, that there was an issue with memory leaking and something else too that might have been going on. So maybe, like you said, maybe they've addressed it, because I haven't done it at all. I've just talked to people who've done Blockade Runner, and it was in the first couple days, and most of the people said it was fun. There's still the dynamic of, most of the people are doing fighting. They're not people doing cargo, but that's, that gets ironed out over time. It's interesting. But no, thanks for mentioning that. Now, here's a question I'll ask you, though. Do you think, I know there's a sense of, and sometimes I hear people say this, they'll say, well, I wish CIG would focus on this and not on this. Do you think that maybe the two are hand in hand, and maybe that's why? Because I'll give you an example of why I say that. There was a bug that popped up later. Now, I don't know if this was the original bug or not, but there was a bug that popped up later where some people were seeing someone else in their hangar. They couldn't see them, right? But they knew that there was someone moving around. The funny thing was that they weren't physicalized. You couldn't see them. Then we found out later with the patch that those instances were stacking on top of each other. So your hangar would be on top of my hangar, right? At the same time. Do you think that those issues like that are a part of server meshing, which is why maybe they're dealing with the hangars and meshing at the same time?
I think it's a part of the tech, but it's not the core of the tech, if that makes sense.
Right.
Because, I've ran into some issues where I would land in my hangar, and then out of nowhere, my hangar door would open, and then I see a ship pop out of nowhere, and I'm like, what is going on?
Right. I had that happen.
No, but I it's hard for me. I want to say yes, but at the same time, I could be wrong, because like, is persistence a different tech of server meshing? You know what I mean? Like, is it two different things, or are they like somewhat interconnected? I mean, they will be connected, of course, but like, at the moment, we don't have server meshing.
Yeah. Well, so how do we know?
That's true. You know what? You're right. You're right. You're absolutely right.
Don't get me wrong. I guess what I'm questioning, and I think your question's a valid question. The question is, what's the method to the madness, right? Anytime CIG is doing something that seems crazy, I always ask myself, okay, why are they doing it this way? You know what I mean? It seems like this would be easier. And I don't think they're making it hard on themselves on purpose. I think that they're making it hard because something in that process needs to be dealt with. And so, I don't know if we say, let's deal with server meshing first, and I'm just using this as an example, let's deal with that first, let's get that together. And then once that's done, now let's go to hangar. That doesn't mean that server meshing will not once again collapse once we introduce hangar, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying it's kind of hard to say whether there's interconnected with great depth, or to your point, maybe it isn't connected, but not to the point where the core aspects of server meshing need to be working, right? Because maybe maybe you're right. Maybe that is still a factor. They still don't have it completely there. I just know that they're trying to interweave all this stuff now with the introduction of, the inventory, this whole thing of jumping through jump points, being in different systems, persistence, that's all having to come together now in a different way. So we'll see. We'll see. You'll see.
What I would say about 324 though, like the positive about it, while the persistent hangars are cool, but the actual tech itself opens up doors for like persistent hubs, persistent this, persistent that. You know what I mean?
Very true.
So
Very true.
Really, it's great that they're testing this in this state, but I mean, I'm like, at the moment right now, I'm just thinking of this as like yin and yang, like where the good side is, you get this tech, But the bad side right now is the lack of content and gameplay right now, and the things are broken. It's like, oh my god.
Right. That's a good point. Good point. All right, Flero. Thanks, brother. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right, good old Flero. Let's bring in Pops in Space next. Pops in Space. How are you, Pops?
Hey, how are you today?
Pretty good, buddy.
Good.
Oh, excuse me 1 second before you say anything, Pops. CC Creator, what's up? Thank you for the sub. I forgot to say it 2 times back. I got to say it real quick before I let Pops get going. And thank you for being here, CC, as always. Glade, good to see you as well. Okay, Pops, I'm sorry. Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah. Well, 324 is, okay. I'm going to touch on my main gripe.
Okay.
Which I understand it's a work in progress, but the furniture, it's got my OCD. Just tingling. It just I can't, straightening out the couch and the chairs, and I don't know. It just drives me bananas. I can't put my furniture down like I want to.
Wait, Pops, let me tell you what the fix is for your OCD. Here's the fix for the OCD. Okay. You ready for this? Okay, because I did the same thing. Like I said, I put the table out and the chairs, and I was ready to invite somebody to my hangar, and I came back and it was all gone. Right? Basically, put it in your head: the grids in the hangar ain't working. So what people have actually started doing, I don't know if you've seen this. I think I joked with you guys this week about it. People have been decorating in their ships. They've been setting up living rooms in the back of their freelancer or their C1. So, use that as your temporary pacification. Open your C1 up, throw some chairs, the couch in there, and you can have a mobile home for a few days. Maybe that's what you can do. Okay.
All right, have me an RV.
There you go. Right. There you go.
That's a good idea.
Okay.
And you got me on that. You got me on that picture you sent me.
I thought you'd like that.
Yeah. Me and my son laughed.
Okay.
Tremendously about that.
Anything else about 324? Yeah, go ahead.
We did the event, and it was pretty smooth. The combat was pretty smooth.
Okay.
I was in the turret because I'm in the Scorpius.
Okay.
Now, my gripe with getting in the turret is, first of all, it took us, 20 minutes how to figure out how you get in it.
Okay.
You have to right click on the retract button. And
then you get the menu wheel to come up, right?
And then you can't see the full menu wheel.
Right, and if you don't have your view at the right spot, if you're too low when you hold down the R button, the whole radial doesn't come up. You have to actually make sure you're dead center, and then you can see the full radial. You're absolutely right. Yeah, it's tough. It is tough. Yep.
And I'm nervous because I'm thinking of maybe it's the eject. Maybe I might hit the eject and then I'm gone. So
right.
I'm like, that's giving me mental anguish. So
I got a question. Wait a minute. I got a question. Were you able to get the turret to turn on and fire it? Because that's been bugged. Okay, they must have fixed it then, because that has been frustrating for the last couple patches, where that gunner seat, once you got back there, you couldn't turn on the gun. So you were able to use it.
Yeah.
That's good.
We were in it.
Okay, if you did, then that's fine. I have not been using it with people because it wasn't working before. So I'm glad you said that. Okay.
Yeah, it was on Wednesday. I believe it was Wednesday when we were in.
Okay, cool.
So, hey.
Okay.
All right.
Well, great. Thank you, Pops. I hope the patch gets better. And time's ticking, right? We're getting closer and closer to 4.0, so we're going to have to see how things go here. They're still within their window for patch-wise, but we'll see how things go, okay?
Yeah, I'd rather have them get it right.
Yep.
That's my feeling.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Pops. All righty. We got 2 more. Bringing Captain Serious Fun here. Let me get him. Captain Serious Fun, how are you?
GriffinGamingRPG, greetings.
How are you?
I'm all right. I have been in and out of 324 this week. And my experience with Blockade Runner is surprisingly similar to Fist and Pops, and I mentioned it the first couple times I went in there because it was contrasting other people's experiences, which was a little bit more messy. I know that there are messy experiences out there, but I thought it was pretty smooth. The 2 or 3 times, I think it's 3 times that I went in and engaged in the event.
Okay.
So I was pretty pleased with the experience and with the integration of AI, NPCs, and players.
Okay.
So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it into my hangar, still getting shot at, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Arcade runner style and participating in the event. Now the original numbers that they had, I thought were kind of high in terms of try and win the event, in terms of the numbers of cargo pieces that were required. But my understanding is that that's shifting. So I enjoyed it. 324 overall, I think we are downplaying a little bit the impact of this. I think you raised it the way you asked the question, which was, these are significant changes to how we play, right? It's so funny. It's like people are like, oh, 324, all it is a cargo hauling change. Well, that's might be all it need. That's a lot. That's like saying Larry Bird, all he could do is hit the 3-pointer. Fool, that's all he need.
Yeah.
So this is a lot. And when you start to get in there into the combination of your persistent hangar, your freight elevator, and the cargo hauling dynamic, for me, who wants to live, I imagine myself living out of the Zeus CL. This is going to be the meat and potatoes, right? Okay. So I want to take my time, understand it, engage in it, and the more that you get into the nuances of it, particularly the hauling missions, the utilizing the freight platforms, more that it becomes useful and there's some depth there. And, I am enjoying understanding this take on it. And so, I hear the doom and gloom, but I'm not experiencing it.
Okay.
So that's just me.
Okay. Sounds fair. All right, Cap. Appreciate you as always. All right. Last but not least, the one and the only Togi, Mr. T. Is he there?
Yeah, I'm here.
There he is. Hey, buddy.
So I got one primary thing to say about 324, and I hope CIG is listening.
Okay.
Why is there a spawn limit on ground vehicles, CIG? Why can I not put all of my ground vehicles in my hangar, CIG? I bought a reclaimer to have enough room for all of my ground vehicles, CIG, and I can't spawn them all without the hangar breaking. Why would you do this to me?
If you guys don't know, Togi is an official high volume tester for how many things you can put in the hangar. And I think, what was the most you said you got in there at one point? Was how many?
I think I got 27.
27.
But that was a mix of ships and ground vehicles. You pull 25 ground vehicles, the hangar breaks.
Okay. So I'd be very interesting to see if that's going to become a limitation or whether that's just where it is right now. What were we before? I'm not saying this to cover for CIG. Was it 4 before 3? Was it 3 or 4 before we used to call up? I don't remember what it was before.
5.
Was it 5? Okay, 5 before.
Maybe it was 3 for the longest.
I'm hoping that they expanded. I mean, honestly, I do hope that they expanded so that it becomes a much higher number than that. Because
and I mean, I haven't been able to get any feedback from CIG about whether that's a bug or if that's a feature. Like, did they raise it to 25 thinking, well, no one's ever going to do that, so does it need to be higher?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I know some people may think that's ludicrous, but in orgs, and if people are trying to load up something, and the vehicles, mind you, it doesn't have to be that they're big vehicles. It could be nothing more than 20 bikes, 25 bikes, and they want to load them all onto a ship. And to Togi's point, if it's a max, then we need to kind of know that's a max, because maybe what could have been done with 1 ship now needs to be done with 3 ships. So it'll be interesting to see whether they raise the capacity on that.
I mean, it wouldn't even be ships at that point. It'd be players. You would need to spread out those
across the board. Yeah, more people putting stuff, players and ships. So it would have to be that at that point. You're right. I don't know. It's a good question whether or not that is just a temporary cap, like the 5 was a temporary cap. I I would hope that eventually it wouldn't be a limitation. I have to wonder the same thing about even the hangars when it comes to items that we want to place inside of a hangar. Is there going to be, I know they've talked about on the elevator there's a limit, but what happens to the hangar itself? Will that be unlimited, or will there be a max cap on just putting items in a hangar in general? I guess we'll have to see what happens.
There's definitely a performance cap on it.
Yeah.
Once I got to that 25, I was taking a pretty major hit to FPS.
Do you remember how low it got roughly? Do you remember?
When I went into the hangar, I was in mid 40s. By the time I got 25, I was 15 or 16.
Okay.
So not a fun experience.
Yeah, that's a big drop. Yeah, we'll have to see. Tier 0, tier 1. Let's see what happens when it's tier 2, tier 3. If they increase it, especially if the performance. I mean, even if you can put all that in, if the performance sucks, it's not going to be good either. So you need the performance to come up as well as the quantity of items that you can put in there.
Yeah,
we'll see. We'll see.
I also think that it speaks volumes about how little is in 324. And that the entire time I was in PTU, I never left the hangar.
Okay. Fair enough. Alrighty then. Thank you, Togi. Here we go. All right. Let's thanks guys. Thanks for everybody who dropped in. Thank you guys for joining us. Those of you who are here today with us. It's Saturday and appreciate you guys being here. There was somebody who said something earlier that kind of made me smile on YouTube. Who was it? It was Baby Kosh. Yeah, every time I try the PTU, something catastrophically breaks. Y'all have more patience than I. No, we're just more masochistic than you are. Don't worry. It is a bit painful. We understand, believe me. And it is frustrating when you go in and do something. I think like almost every time going in, there's a part of me that is happy when CIG every day I come back and there's a new patch, right? That means that they've worked on something, that they've tried to fix something. But it is also frustrating that every day I come back, I have to do my whole routine all over again because everything gets reset, right? And so it's like as soon as you get out of bed, it's like, oh, I got to redo this. Thank God I don't have to redo my character every time. But, it does wear on you. But when things break, obviously, that's not great either, especially for a lot of us, because it is the hangar. You do all the stuff you need to do. You get to the hangar, you finally get there, then something doesn't work, right? And you just don't even leave the hangar because there was something you wanted to do that day. So it's understandable, Baby Kosh. Don't worry, we get it. All right, let's do this next one here. The next one here, this is just to have a little relief to Pops, as mentioned earlier, about our OCD. What you playing? We haven't done this in a little while, where I ask you guys for game recommendations. What are you playing while we're in this period leading up to CitizenCon? While we're in this, everything's in the PTU and things still aren't working. There's been a lot of conversation about people saying, oh, I'm not playing the game right now, or I'm waiting until it goes live. So my question to you is, what are you doing right now, gaming-wise, to pass the time? Maybe you're not doing gaming-wise. Maybe you're out touching the grass, right? What are you doing right now to pass the time while we're getting ready? Is there a new game? Did you guys watch Gamescom this week? Was there anything exciting that you saw there that has your attention? Some of you guys were playing Starfield, and just this week, Starfield put out a new patch where they introduced vehicles. So maybe you guys have gone back to doing that and jumped into it. So yeah, throw that in there. If you want to put it in chat, you can, or if you want to come in and tell me what you would recommend to other people to look into, you're more than welcome to do that. I think I saw was it Glade said, oh yeah, Glade said he's playing Mafia 4. Red Wolf says he has 2 new puppies. Okay, all right. Yeah, let's see who else has got something to say here. I got Fist to Face coming in. Fist, you there?
Hey, what's happening, Griff?
Yes, sir.
What am I playing? Well, I'm playing a game that's called First Descendant.
Ah, you did decide to play that. Still playing it, I should say, because you told me you were playing it.
Still playing it.
Okay.
Yes, I'm still playing it. Now, I'm going to say this as a recommendation. I would not recommend it if you like your sanity.
Is that because of the gameplay or something with the game? Issue with the game?
The grind is ridiculous.
Oh, okay.
I mean, if you do not like RNG, it is not the game for you.
Oh, okay.
I mean, now, all things aside, it is a cool game as far as mechanics, aesthetics, stuff like that.
Yeah,
beautiful game.
Okay,
but
now is that free to play, right?
Yes, it is free to play.
Okay.
it is free to play.
Okay.
So obviously, everybody got to let your folks know when you see free to play.
Yeah.
You got to know what comes with it.
Right. Everything ain't free, right? Everything ain't free that they say is free. I get it.
Exactly. You got to know what comes with it.
I get it.
I'm just it's a time passer.
Okay.
It's a time passer.
First Ascendant. All right. Cool. And that's PC, right? Is it PC and console or just PC?
Both.
Both. Okay. Cool. All right, my brother. Thanks for the recommendation.
Thank you.
Okie dokie. Let's bring in. I think Captain Serious Fun was next. Let's bring in Captain Serious Fun. Cap, are you there? He is muted all over, though. There he is.
Greetings and salutations. How are you?
Okay.
So, in French, there's a culinary term for sampling stuff, and it's called déguster.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, my degustation this past period, my sampling, that's what I've been doing. Is I've been sampling a lot of past games.
Okay.
Coming back because they've been making some changes. It has not been Starfield. That vehicle ain't enough. Bring me back now. But it has been games like Elite Dangerous. Going back into Elite with the new ships that have come out.
Yeah.
The Python and the Type 8, and the opportunity to get rid of these Thargoids out of human systems.
Mm-hmm.
I've gone back into Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh, okay.
With some of the updates there.
Mm-hmm.
The Evil Endings, New Beginnings stuff, and the modding support. I have gone back into No Man's Sky.
Okay.
In terms of the Worlds update.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just part one, which was very interesting. It still doesn't give it that psychological realism or photorealistic look, but the shift that they're making with the technology that they have from the new game, Light No Fire, it just makes it does make it more interesting visually to be and less abstract.
Okay.
And then I have gone back into a little bit into PAX Day, but none of y'all are there. So I went in, looked around, and left.
I'm there every day. I drop in every day, but it's late night for me. It's late. You're probably in bed by the time I go in, but I go in almost every night and do something. You know what I mean? Because I'm slowly working on all of my different trades. You know what I mean? So yeah, it is a ghost town, though. I agree with you there.
Yeah. I look around like, where's everybody at? I go to the map. I see nobody. So, but no, and then, I'll do a few things in Star Citizen, waiting for this to go live so that I can lean in a little bit more. I feel like I've played my role in the testing phase. Now I'm ready to lean in and experience it live.
Yeah.
But yeah, there has been an opportunity to check some other stuff out or recheck some stuff out. I have watched the Gamescom. There's nothing really on the horizon that blows me away. I keep comparing things to Star Citizen and being like, I'm just going to wait for Star Citizen. So
okay, those were all great suggestions. I didn't know that Baldur's Gate. I started playing Baldur's Gate with a group, then stuff came up and I had to stop playing, and I want to go back to it because I enjoyed it. I tried to do a little bit of solo play with it, but I hate to say it, like I've said this before, I love much more engagement when I have other people to play the game with, So maybe we'll have to get a group together. I know Red was still interested in playing it. I want to play it again because I miss my D&D days, so I really would like to get back to that. But thanks for letting me know. I have not
played it with people. Baldur's Gate is a great game. I imagine it's a whole nother level playing with people.
So okay. We need to talk then. Okay. All right, brother. Thank you. All right. Let me bring in Pops in Space and then Toki. Yeah, Pops.
Hey. Okay. I am playing again with my son. The First Ascendant.
Okay.
Which the game is weird. And what I mean by weird is I don't know if this is a trend. They put out a game, then because they call it preseason. In First Ascendant, they call it preseason. So they want to they want to see what we like or dislike. and the grind is ridiculous in that game. So I don't know what they're thinking if anybody would like to grind something 50, 60 times in order to get the piece that you want. But I don't know. I think that's kind of a cop-out way of first bringing in people, grabbing the money, and then say, okay, we're going to fix it. Then you hold on to people. Then they're in that perpetual
in there,
kind of slowly fixing things at a time. And people, I don't know if I kind of agree with that.
Yeah.
Icarus was like that. Icarus does something every week where they add something to it. I still go in there every once in a while because I just love base building, which is why I was saying earlier about the furniture thing has me. But one of the main things I've been doing is having a great time working with some friends, Waka and Falero, with making some Star Citizen music.
Nice. Okay, so you found some good ways to pass the time. That's really cool, Pops. Okay, thank you, sir. All righty, let me bring in Togi real quick. Here, we got Fast Card too. Hey, Togi.
What up?
Ooh, okay.
So back on my theme here. I think everyone should go into Starfield.
Okay.
And try out that vehicle.
Okay.
Because it is honestly an experience. Oh, absolutely awful it is. Like, you will never complain about Star Citizen ground vehicles again once you drive that piece of crap. Like, I'm glad it was free. Because people probably would have burnt Bethesda down if they would have charged for
it. Yeah. Now, here you did share some insight about that vehicle, though, because when you were showing it to me and how it was running, and we couldn't figure out why they designed it the way they did. Maybe you could kind of tell people what your theory is as to why the handling is the way it is.
I mean, maybe it's not that bad on controller.
Yeah,
like
you said controllers.
I mean, because it kind of feels like what it wants is to have the acceleration controlled with a trigger, and then you just go wherever you're looking. But controlling that with mouse and keyboard feels so bad.
Yeah.
Like, if you've ever played the first Mass Effect, the Mako in that, it's a step under that. And the Mako, like, literally, when the remake, they redid a whole bunch of stuff to the Mako because of how bad people said it was.
Yeah. And that's one of the tough things about when you have games that are created. I know us PC players complain about this because sometimes you get the flashing button that says, click the A button or whatever. And we know it's because it was console ported over. So I think I played Starfield a little bit. I didn't play it in depth like Togi and some other people, but I'm just a bit surprised that Bethesda, in light of them knowing how important the request was for vehicles from the players, that they didn't make sure that was very satisfying, because people really, really wanted to make sure that they moved beyond the jetpack and started using vehicles. Maybe they'll do it later. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens with it.
I'm sure that modders will fix it like every other Bethesda game.
Yeah. That might be the case. All right. Starfield, folks. Thanks, Togi. You guys jump into Starfield. Let me bring Fast Card in real quick. FC.
Hey, how you doing?
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm not really. I am playing a couple of games, but I am more than for the game that I'm playing. I'm looking forward to a couple of games, like Dragon Age. The new Dragon Age is coming out soon, so I haven't really pre-ordered it yet. Thinking about it, but people love that game so much that they decided to put out a collector's edition. Guess how much the collector's edition is?
How much?
150.
What?
150 for the collector's edition.
Jeez, what are they putting in that?
I put it in the Mass Effect channel.
Okay.
So I have to scroll up and look at it real quick, but and the kicker is it's $150, right?
Right.
But it does not come with the game.
Stop. You gotta be kidding. I was getting up to show you something I thought you would appreciate. I stumbled across this the other day. I don't know if this is going to come up on screen. You see that?
Hold on.
This is the steel box for Dragon Age Origins. And it's the actual, the steel box for it and everything. I just came across this the other day and I was going to take a picture of it and show it to you. You know, it has all the fancy schmancy. This is back from the CD days, y'all. So I know it's not coming up on the screen very well. But yeah, this is the whole thing with the book and all the cool stuff that was in here with the Blood Arcane and all that stuff.
Well, let me tell you something, Griff. I got the same one. I got the same one around here somewhere. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. It's pretty.
You're not the only one.
Throwback
I'm gonna drop
here.
A link in chat real quick.
Okay.
And yeah, so people can see what I'm talking about.
That's cool.
There you go.
That's very cool.
That's the $150.
Jesus. And you said it doesn't include the game?
It'll say right there. Hold on, let me make sure
my God.
Say me wrong.
No, I'm just like, wow.
Does not include game. The Rook offered $150.
Okay, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but okay.
They're not the first. They're not the first.
I just never known anybody to do it in the games now.
No, someone else did it too. I want to say Final Fantasy might have done it.
Oh my God. Okay.
Oh, the link does not work. Hold on.
Yeah, so that link's not working. Yeah, I just brought it up.
Okay, let me get the
all right.
Full link.
Is that the full link?
I tried to shorten it.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, you guys can see. Oh, yeah. Pre-order bonus. All right. I'll have to look at this later. Yeah, I don't know if I even want to consider that, but okay.
And the other game I'm looking forward to is called Exodus. It's by people who left BioWare, but they went on to make their own studio. Development studio. I think it's called what's it called? Archetype. That's the name of the studio, but they're former BioWare employees. But the thing about Exodus is that it feels like a Mass Effect. It feels like it was inspired by Mass Effect, so I'm looking forward to that.
All right, we'll have to see. All right. Thanks for the recommendations, FC.
No problem.
All right. Coddle, good to see you as well. Yeah, we've been gone for a couple of weeks, but we're back this week. So thanks for joining us. We miss seeing you out there. Last but not least, let me bring in Red Bear, and then we're going to get on to our commercial break, and then we're going to hit a couple more topics. Red, you there? Red is muted with the mic. Red. Okay, we'll give him 3, 2. There he is.
Yes.
Oh, okay, there he is. There he is.
I had it muted like yesterday. When
It's okay. It's all right. What you got?
Is it for a future reference or what you already play?
Well, what you're playing right now? What you would recommend? Either one.
What I would recommend is either Kingdom Come Deliverance 1 and later on in 2025, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. It's an awesome RPG. I really can recommend it to anyone who likes being a knight, or at least someone who knows nothing from the first part. And then you have to build your character up during the whole game. I think that's really nicely done. And what I also like to see is the Gothic 1 remake. That seems to be very nice as well.
Okay.
And I like Warhammer 40K.
Yeah.
Second one, Space Marine. So those are the recommendations for now.
Okay. Yeah. I think those are all good. I know a lot of people loved Kingdom Come when it came out. A lot of people talked about it. I didn't know that there was another one coming out, though, in 2025. So, okay, for those of you with the medieval mode, check those out. Those will sound good. Thanks, Red.
Yep. No.
Okie dokie. All righty. Great stuff, gang. Okay, let's take a quick commercial break, and then we're going to hit on our topic for today, which is called Doom and Gloom. And then we're going to talk on the final thing after that. So I think we'll have some fun with the final conversation as well. So again, thank you guys for being here today. I know Soul Voices, as I said, has been away for a little bit, but we're back. And hopefully you guys will stick around for the rest of the show and check out the commercial. We'll be right back. Oh, okay. Hello, everyone. If you are seeing me, that means you're probably a subscriber, unless Twitch is just acting goofy. Anyway, thank you guys for being here. Missed being here the last couple weeks, but as always, you guys have always been faithful in supporting Soul Citizens, both our Thursday show, our Sunday show, and our Saturday show. So thank you for that. I think we announced this a couple weeks. Last week, we finally reached our 3,000 goal of followers. So we're at 3,003. We got 3 more since last Sunday. So we're really happy about that. And now our community is continuing to grow. So please tell people about us, share us, let people know, hey, Soul Citizens are on. It's a different show. And hopefully you guys will enjoy the next couple topics that we're going to pick up on today. And of course, as always, feel free to come in, talk to us. Always happy to hear old and new voices when it comes to the show. So that's it. Okie dokie, okie dokie. We are back. And hope you guys are doing well on a Saturday afternoon. We opened up the show today with a topic called Doom and Gloom again. This is retrospective for me. When we started out the show, I was talking about how after Invictus and 3.23.1 came out, we started having problems with the servers. The servers started to seem to be decaying. Things that were working after Invictus, right after Invictus, started to not work as well. A lot of things became broken. We were waiting on 3.24 to come out. That seemed like it took a lot longer than usual. When it finally came out, that wasn't working so great in many areas. For some people, they didn't run into a lot of problems. For other people, everything was a problem. Now, obviously, when that happens, it definitely has an impact on the community. I've been seeing these videos coming out. Oh, God. I've been watching these content creators putting out these videos saying people are leaving Star Citizen. Leaving. Or the term is used of stop playing Star Citizen, which I think is a little bit more along the lines of what's happened. Both the live servers not being that great and the PTU not being that great have made some people step back and say, hey, I'll come when I get it better. I'm going to play. I just don't want to deal with it right now. Usually if the PTU is bad, live is pretty decent, but live has not been that great, at least not for me. And actually, once PTU came out, Wave 1, I stayed in PTU. I haven't even played 323.1, the 323 patch. I haven't played that since the PTU's come out. I've stayed in the PTU. I've had less aggravation in the PTU than I've had in the live. But this has also been approaching that time of year again. If you remember last year, around this same time, we got into this conversation about the psyche and the space of where the community was. People were feeling very blah. Now, this is not unusual. This time of the year, especially when it was always leading up to CitizenCon, there's several things that happen. One, CIG is a lot quieter about things that they're working on because they're preparing for CitizenCon. Two, once we get past Ship Showdown, it really gets to be a bit of a lull leading up to CitizenCon. And if you remember last year, we were in this exact same thing. People were not feeling Star Citizen. They were feeling really a certain kind of way. And if you remember, then the F8 thing came out, right? The F8 got launched. That created some buzz and some stir. And then after that, CIG started doing more and more things leading up to CitizenCon. Now, I want to see if you guys can work with me here and read the tea leaves. This is not the first time. Every year we get to this point where things go into a lull. People start feeling a certain kind of way. Content creators start talking about, oh, this year is going to be, this is where the predictions come up, whether the year is going to be whatever, or will CIG do what they're going to say by the end of the year. All this is just repeated. It's nothing new. Nothing new. When we were in this space last year, everybody was even questioning CitizenCon. Is it going to be another tech demo? Are we going to see anything different? Blah, 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 blah. Okay. So all I'm saying is that this is a repeat of history. And as we're in this period now, and this year, I think it's better because people are like kind of playing other games and doing stuff, where last year they were kind of just in this weird mix. And as we're approaching CitizenCon, CIG, I'm going to speak on their side now. I'm pretty sure CIG kind of knows how we're feeling. You know, they can read it on Reddit. They can read it on Spectrum. They can watch the different streamers. I'm sure there are people that they even talk to probably that, you know, the people know ain't feeling it right now. But CIG has also been very excited about this CitizenCon. Very excited. Like last year, they were very excited about last year's CitizenCon. Last year, it seemed like a lot of it was, we're looking forward to coming back and doing it again with you guys. We're looking forward to reconnecting with you guys. And we've got some stuff that we want to show you, right? That's how, to me, it felt last year. This year, though, it feels like y'all thought last year was good. Wait till you see this year. Okay. We know that during this year, for the first time, Chris Roberts talked about 1.0, the actual launching commercially, what he called commercially viable game, which we have never had before. We know that when we left last year, Squadron 42 was going into polish and final feature work. So as we're approaching this period now, and in light of all that, yes, I want you to embrace the doom and gloom and all of the blah, 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 blah that's not working. But I also want to remind you about, or make you challenge you to say, well, we've seen the doom and gloom period before, but what about CitizenCon this year? Will CitizenCon be just a repeat of last year? Do you think that something's going to change? Will the tables turn a little bit? Do you think that, and we're going to have some CitizenCon shows we're leading up to, at least I think we will. But do you think, first of all, do you think that people are not playing Star Citizen? I'm talking about like they're leaving it. I'm not talking about stopping. Do you think that this stuff that's been projected out, that the numbers are down, people are leaving Star Citizen? First of all, do you think that's true? And if you do think it's true, tell me why. If you don't think it's true, just tell me that they're stopping, then you can tell me that too. And do you think CIG is going to do anything meaningful? I'm going to be really picking the word meaningful at this CitizenCon. I'm not talking about just some flashy show, you know. Do you feel that they've delivered from last year to this year, to this October? Do you think that they've already 30% there, 50% there, 70% there, not there at all? Okay. I'd love to know what you guys think while we're in this period right now, because we still got 60 days. I forget how many days it is on the countdown now, but we're getting there, right? Today's the 24th. So that's September, October. So we're less than 60 days away now. We're 58 days away from CitizenCon, it looks like. No, it's 58. September, October, August, September, October. September 21st. Yeah. Right, it's counting down. Okay. All right. So I got a couple of people waiting to come in. Let's bring in, I think Pops in Space was here first. Let's bring in Pops. Hey, Pops.
Hey. First I'm going to address, do I feel like people are leaving the game?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say from my point of view, it's a test. We are testing. So it's not really a full game. So I'm not going to put it in that category, because I go in and out. I mean, there's some people that can do it every day. You know, there's Evil Cody, which I always say my hat is off to Evil Cody, because they go through what I would call hell.
Mm-hmm.
So to say, I think that's kind of hard to define, whether you're going in and out.
So you're saying you're more in the stop playing, because when I say leaving, I'm talking about people who they're not playing Star Citizen anymore. They're done. You
mean for good? Ooh.
Yeah, I mean leaving. Yeah, I mean leaving. I'm not talking about they stop playing it because it's buggy. I'm saying there are people who put out videos saying people are leaving Star Citizens, that the numbers are down. In other words, that that people aren't coming back and playing it anymore. Do you think that it's just a situation where people are just not playing it, or have stopped, or they're not playing it anymore? Like they're fed up.
Well, my thought is, how do you get fed up at a testing environment?
Well, people can. People can.
Yeah, they can.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to say this, and maybe it will make sense, and maybe it won't.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it really matters, because sales is continuously going up. So if there's people that are leaving, that are not coming back, I don't think that really matters. Because the dollars are always coming in, and they're beating records every year. So whether some people stop playing or not is really, I hate to really sound kind of cruel in a way, but
okay, that's fair.
Don't really care. Don't really care if they leave and don't come back.
Okay.
But,
okay. No, that's fair. That's fair, Pops.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Go ahead. Yeah. You got something else?
What was the other part?
What was this basically about? Do you think that the CitizenCon will be just another repeat of last year, or do you think that there actually be something meaningful at this particular one? In other words, that you feel like there's, okay, we're finally there. You know, we're finally getting something. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to point out.
I'm very happy to be here.
Stanton, we got a planet at a time. Because I remember when Microtech came in, remember when Crusader came in, and we all got excited for these, you know, when each planet came in. We are getting a whole solar system.
Okay.
At once.
Okay.
Not bits and pieces.
Right.
We're getting the whole thing at once. And if we remember, I think it was Inside Star Citizen, where they mentioned they just redid Ruined Station.
Okay.
So they made it even bigger.
Okay.
So to me, instead of, because they could have released Pyro 6 months ago, and we could have gotten bits and pieces. We could have got a Pyro 1, 2, and 3 like we had in the test. Then they could have gave us 4, 5. They could have given us room, but we're getting the whole piece at one time. And whether or not that's better is a matter of opinion. But that's what's coming. Plus Squadron 42. So I don't think it's I think that's done on. I think it's on purpose.
Okay.
This year, like you said, leading up to something bigger and better.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Pops. Appreciate it.
All right.
All right. Let me bring in Fist to Face. And by the way, Genetic Predator, my good friend from Test Squadron, good to see you. Thank you for stopping by. And DJ Wildcat, thank you so much for the sub. 28 months. Really, really appreciate that. Thank you. Fist.
What's happening?
Yes, sir.
My thing on it. All right. So I'd probably say 70-30, 30% probably has left for good. 70% just stop playing.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
I'm in that 70% because, you just kind of understand where the game is and you just say, all right, well, I still got love for the game, but let me go over here and do what I need to do.
Okay.
As far as the CitizenCon thing, do I think something meaningful? I think your question was something about CitizenCon, but something meaningful coming out. I think it was.
Yeah, in other words, will it just be another repeat of last year? Or, CIG said they felt that this year is going to be even bigger than last year. So do you think there'll be something meaningful, other than just demonstrating some things that they're working on? Do you think that there'll be something about this CitizenCon where we feel like we're finally achieving some major progress?
I think we will, because besides the newsletter, with Squadron 42 newsletter, we haven't really heard them speak on it so much.
Okay.
So I think, they want to obviously roll that out with a big bang.
Okay.
For folks. Obviously with all of the buzz that we've heard from last year and some people, I think for me personally that there will be that Squadron 42 big bang, that'll hit us. And then then going back to that 30% that I spoke about that had left, that'll
draw them back.
Fold back in. That'll fold right back in. So
okay.
That to me, that's what I kind of say.
Okay, when you say Squadron 40, just before I let you go, when you say Squadron 42, are you saying release date, trailer? What's so big about Squadron 42 you think will happen?
I think we will see a release date.
Okay.
Or at least something in the manner of a beta or announcement of something. To me.
Okay.
That is my hope as well as my projection.
Okay. All right. We shall see. Thanks, Fist. All right. Let me bring in Captain Serious Fun. Captain Serious Fun.
Griff. Now is the winter of our discontent. A glorious summer by the son of Pyro. I'll leave the Richard III alone. So, are people leaving the game? No. There's a seasonality to this, right?
Okay.
If you've been around, you know what's around, and this is what happens in the summer. I still hold to my theory that CIG probably estimated that, you know, they make a lot of their determinations for the calendar year in January, right? And I feel like a lot of people already had their summer vacation in.
Yeah.
at CIG.
Okay.
And so the shift to a summer where they're really grinding is not historical for them, and it's going to take a couple cycles for them to get up on that.
Okay.
But so I don't think people are leaving, and I think to CC Creator's point, people aren't walking away from their money even if they are taking a break. It's just a break.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
I do believe that people are different than content creators. Content creators are managing the algorithm. They're managing the audience. They're managing views. They're trying to build their channel. All of them want to be Mr. Beast. They want to leave the job behind, pass through the gated community, and leave the unwashed masses to their plight. Right. And so when CIG doesn't help them do that, when production doesn't naturally help them do that for a cycle, or maybe a cycle and a half, or maybe 2 cycles, right? Their narrative is as much about them as it is about the game, period. Right?
Okay.
So that's my view on that. CitizenCon, will it produce something of meaning? If CitizenCon gives us a real Squadron 42 release date, a Squadron 42 demo, a Squadron 42 outtakes, a Squadron 42 channel on the RSI website where we could start percolating, some Squadron 42 interviews, and if we're in 4.0 and we get a clear roadmap from 4.0 to 1.0, I'll feel good about what CitizenCon did.
Okay.
Right. That would be meaningful to me. The last couple of CitizenCons, I've come in with that type of question. What would matter here for me? And I have my list. And to CIG's credit, I always got 1 or 2 more things. Okay. Than my list. So my hope is that that'll be the case too. Particularly if I spend this money, come all the way over to Manchester, I need to be a little bit more than I expect. Yeah, I mean. That being said, you know, the last thing I wanted to cover was this question of, has CIG done what they said they're going to do? No. And yes. Yes and no, right? They talked about getting a whole bunch of things done in the next 12 months. And CIG has done what I expected them to do, which was to hit on over 50% of that, but probably a little less than 75% of that. Okay. Right. I appreciate their ambition, but that's usually where they end up. And psychologically for me, that's where I was. Right. And, you know, that line in 48 Hours where the police captain tells Nick Nolte, just because you say it with intensity, it don't mean nothing to me. Right. Right. They said it with more intensity. Right. But they still had the same type of organization. In fact, people like Todd Pappy went elsewhere. So they'll end up around 70% of that list. Some stuff will get pushed. And that's sort of where I think their development house tends to be. But I'm not in an adversarial relationship with CIG. That's the other thing that, you know, where people stand on some of this stuff depends on where they sit. And if you sit in an adversarial relationship with them, if you're like, they're a producer, I'm a consumer, and my job is to drive consumer energy around my consumption and have a problem with the producer until the producer gives me exactly and precisely what they promised in this consideration and contract, and you use words like promise, then you're going to be in the winter of your discontent all the time. That's where you're going to be all the time. Yeah. Right. So don't be surprised that that's where you are. Yeah. Right. Yeah. But if you look at this thing and go, I've been a gamer since 1976 and nothing come across my gaming life like this. This is an interesting project to enjoy and experience and to be in the journey of. Then maybe this, you know, this is rocky seas, Calm Seas, you know, it's a long journey. You're more Odysseus than you are the Joker.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't want to be the Joker in my gaming life. I want to be on a journey with at least one project. So that's how I tend to look at it. And I keep raising that. You've heard me raise that for the past couple of years. Right?
Yeah.
And the reason I keep raising that is I'm hoping people will consider it, because it could have been very easy for me to go the other way too.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
True.
I'm not beyond that.
True.
It's just a choice, right?
Yeah.
I could have very easily been the other way, and then it would have been like, let me shoot darts at this thing for the rest of the time. But who does that? All that does is put me in a funk.
Mm-hmm.
I'm uninterested in that. So,
okay.
That would be my hope. I feel like they've delivered on most stuff, the same way that they've delivered on most stretch goals, right?
Yeah.
But the remaining stuff gets inordinately harder.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to have to be better. And my hope is that, you know, in the way that they lay out the roadmap from 4.0 to 1.0, they're also laying out an examination of their systems to maximize their efficiency. They're using the benefits of Turbulent and the way that they can turn content around. And Richard Tyrer said, you know, they want to go from features to content.
Right. That focus is supposed to be this year is content for sure. Yeah.
Right. And
absolutely.
So how we finish the year, how I feel on December 31st will be very interesting, but I don't think I'm going to be disappointed. I think I'm going to be enjoying things. So.
Okay. Very cool. All right. Thanks, Cap. All right. Yeah, this is interesting. Like Cap said, there are several of us who are making the trip to Manchester. So we want to make sure that it's a fruitful experience. Don't get me wrong; it'll be great to go over to the UK. That'll be a great experience unto itself. But obviously, our thoughts about this are important too. Last but not least, let's bring in Togi. Then we're going to hit our last question for the day. Sir Togi,
what up?
There he is.
I'm glad I'm last, so that I can be the yang to
the yin,
the Cap's yi.
Okay.
All right. To me, it's very telling that by your own admission, we end up here every year. That every year, CIG revs up the hype machine at SitCon, and we get months away from another SitCon, and that goodwill is already squandered. You know, that they have not done enough in that year to maintain our faith. I mean, I know that, you know, Cap wants to say that 70% of things are done. Yeah, we got 70% of things from a checklist. And then those 70% of things are like all half-baked. So it's closer to like 35. You know, and I get that that's the game, but I don't think that it's just a choice that you make to not be upset about it. Like No, go ahead. Apparently they can't hear you, Griff. Nope, apparently not.
Can you guys hear me now? That's really weird. Yeah, why did my audio? Okay, now. Okay, there we go.
There you go.
Yeah, that was weird. My audio just did a thing on its own. Thanks, guys. I'm going to put a slight waiver in here. Development can have good intention, but obviously things can not happen. There's a certain level of certainty that the company has, and I'm just speaking about CIG, a certain level of confidence and certainty that a company has to exhibit in order to get us as consumers to buy into what they're trying to do. And my question to you is, and that's what I don't have an answer for this. If development was shown to us in its fullest form, in other words, let's say, for example, I said, here are 10 things we want to work on. We believe that we can get, if all goes well, we can get 70 to 80% of this stuff done. But if things don't go well, we may only get 40% of this done. If information was given to us in that manner, do you think that backers, and I'm not saying they would or won't, I'm just curious, do you think that backers would still maintain the energy level? In other words, is it necessary for a company to show the rosier side more than the reality side? Because if they start showing more of reality, then you lose interest, you lose funding, you lose support. Is there a play to that? You know what I'm saying? Like, the marketing obviously is polished and slick, and there's a reason why it makes us feel a certain way. But if they put the same amount of energy into the other side of development, would backers still believe? Would they still be willing to sacrifice? Would they, what would be the mental space? Would the doom and gloom exist because we don't feel the confidence is there? You understand what I'm kind of asking?
If you can disappoint people on the scale that Star Citizen has, and still bring in a minimum of $3.7 million a month, then I don't think that putting some faith in having enough respect in your player base to be honest with them is ever going to tank you.
And that's a good point.
Like, yeah. I think that the idea that, even the idea that, like, oh, well, if nothing happens at SitCon, if they don't have a Squadron trailer, oh, they're done for. No. This train is too fast to stop.
Okay. And that's a good point. That's a good...
I get what you're saying. You're saying that CIG needs to have the ability to make the decisions as a developer for what's good for development. And my thing is that consumers deserve the same thing. We deserve the respect and the acknowledgement that, like, we're putting in our money very early, and we deserve to know the details of what we're spending the money on. And if the news is bad, the news is bad.
Now, and to your point, I said this a couple of years ago when the I don't know if it was when that roadmap change came up, but I made some comment along the lines of that I think CIG needs to trust the backers more with communication. That we can put on our big boy, big girl pants, right? That just let us know, just be upfront with us, and we can. It may be a big freaking horse pill to take, but we'll take it. We can take it. I think that there's still fear of that bad news may not. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure there will be some people who would be turned off by bad news, but I agree with you that I think that at this point, and I don't mean just because of money invested, I'm speaking more of people who've just committed to the project over the years, that we can take, we're used to bad news at this point. We've been disappointed. Just be open with us. Just let us know if this doesn't work. Tell us it doesn't work. We know you're going to work on something else. We know you're not going to drop it.
If you're going to disappoint us anyway, you can at least improve optics by being honest.
Yeah.
All right. I fully expect that 4.0 is not going to make it this year. I also fully expect CIG already knows that. Right, they've pushed it back once because they knew they were going to disappoint.
So if they and you and I we've talked about this, and I feel differently. I feel that it will come out. You said, Griff, I'm not so sure it's going to happen. If they were to say that right now, we thought we were going to get 4.0 out this year, it's not. How do you think it would be taken from the community?
I think the people that are going to be mad are going to be mad, and the people that aren't, and that's not going to change anything. The thing that's going to change is that my faith, and when they tell me something is going to happen, will improve. Because as it is now, I cannot take anything they say seriously.
And that's interesting. That would solidify things, and not solidify, but you'd be fine with that decision.
Yeah, I would be fine with it because I would finally be able to trust. If they can give me bad news, then I know the good news is real.
Okay.
Because if it wasn't, they wouldn't say it.
That's a cool perspective to take. That's a very cool perspective to take. I'm wondering, and I appreciate you feeling that way. I'd feel that way probably too. I still wonder how many of the other people would feel that same way. You know, because you're saying balance. You're saying, hey, if you're being upfront with bad, you can be upfront. I can trust you with good.
Yeah,
but
I think that the people that already know what side of the fence that they're going to be on are never going to change that. The only people that you can change are the ones that are sitting on the fence.
Okay. All right.
And this is the way that you blow them to one side or the other.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good observation. All right, brother. Appreciate it. Yep. Thank you. That's real talk. Real talk. All right. Let's bring in FC. No, I think Red Bear might have been next. I don't know who was first. I'll bring in Red first. Hey, Red. I think Red's there.
I'm here.
There he is. Okay. He's clicking buttons over there.
Yeah. I disagree with Toby. If people can handle the bad news,
you can't handle the truth, huh? You don't think they can handle the truth?
No, not at all. Every time when they send out the bad news, people go into rage mode and feel the Spectrum forums, the videos come over, the YouTube, the Twitches, I don't know what. People cannot handle the bad news. Maybe Toby is one of the few people who can, but in general, people cannot handle bad news.
So it is what it is. Well, okay, but even if they rage, even if they go on Spectrum, is it enough to lose them though? Like, would they, if they said 4.0 is not coming out this year, would we lose people, or would people just be mad but they'll still stick around and play the game?
No. Those people will. Who leave now will leave anyway as well when they get the bad news.
Okay.
There's nothing you can do for those people. No, there's nothing. Nothing.
Okay.
If you're honest, you lose them. If you are
they go on no matter what.
Lie, you lose them as well.
Okay.
And I don't think that the truth bombs, people don't like them.
Okay.
I try to do them as well.
You don't think it? Yeah.
And people are getting angry and I don't know what, and then they go on a rage for getting more people on their side. We have some gems in our midst that feel like that, right? I don't name any names, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
But I don't think people will ever get used to the truth.
Yeah,
I mean that's a very dirty word.
Yeah. I understand both sides. That's why I said when I asked that question to Togi, I said I honestly don't have an answer. I really don't know. There's a part of me that wants to have faith that if they were to tell us the information and let us know, it would make us feel like, okay, we can handle it. Then there's another part of me that says, I just watch how they respond to stuff now, and I think they just all freaking jump out the window. It's such a weird thing to me when it comes to how we respond to information sometimes.
It's like Suicide Squad, but then in a triple.
I know. Yeah, all right, Red. Well, thank you. Thank you for your observation.
Sorry that I'm not so positive.
No, it's okay. That's what I want to hear, what you guys think. Thank you, brother. All right, last but not least, let's bring in FC, and then we'll get to our last topic. Yeah, FC.
So the question is, like, are people, do I believe the people are leaving the game?
Yeah, that's a part of it. Or are they just stopping playing for now? Are they
I think it's a little bit of both, but I think it's important to remember, I don't know if CIG confirmed this or not, but it's been the belief of most of the community that most of the money that's coming in now is from the new players. The old backers, like the long-term backers like us, have stopped giving them as much money as we used to.
Well, but let me say this. The gauge is not; these statements are not being gauged upon revenue. This is talking about people who are coming in and playing the game every day. This has nothing to do with ship buying, anything like that. This is the fact that people have stopped playing the game. The numbers are down on people who are playing. And the question is it just because they're just frustrated and tired, or is it because they honestly are, like, there are several headlines on YouTube videos that went on and said people are leaving Star Citizen, that they're going away.
And the thing is, I'm like, if, unless you work at CIG, how would you know? That's my
Well,
question.
yeah.
But let's assume that they're right. It's like you said before. I think this is an annual thing. Between this time, like between game time and between CitizenCon, sometimes the CitizenCon date it moves around in the calendar. But between those two dates, it's typically a dry period. So yeah, people will take a break, in my opinion, or maybe I don't. Very few will leave, in my opinion, if they do leave. But some people may say, "Oh, I am gonna leave," but let me take a look at the CitizenCon and see what's up. Then decide that they may come back. That they just it's a temporary leave rather than a permanent leave, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay. We'll see. Like I said, this is a repeat. We've seen this cycle happen before. It's just that already I've seen a couple content creators who've put out videos about the that they're not sounding so optimistic about 2024. The typical videos that come out, right? This 2024 is not going to deliver and blah 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 blah. And then when Citizen
and
comes around, it spins around.
A lot of those content creators are just disappointed because CIG is not giving them content to deliver. So that's why So I mean, I think it's more so that they're not making as much content because of Star Citizen rather than being disappointed with the game, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Good point. All right, buddy. Thank you much.
No problem.
Okay. All right. Good one, guys. Thank you all so much for all that great input. We are going to hit our less deep conversation, but one that this one might go out. This might blow up on me too. Let's see if we can hit this next one. Our final topic for today has to do with, well, I'll just show you. It has to do with the sneak peeks that we've got the past couple weeks. Last week, we got this image. Last week in the newsletter. And a lot of us were like looking at this like, what the heck is this, right? And I want to give some thanks to some people too. I want to give some thanks to Admiral Kusanagi, some thanks to Paradise, some thanks to Captain Jones. I know I'm forgetting somebody else in the list here. We were having these conversations over the last day. I think Vavrick was one. We've been having conversations, just sidebar conversations about this. And when this came out last week, we all looked at it and we said, wow, this is pretty cool. Looks like a MISC something because of the chrome, obviously, right? And then yesterday we got another picture, and it was this picture. And when we saw this one, everybody was kind of like, okay, what is that? And we're like, okay, it looks MISC again. And then someone said, and we've talked about this before, that we know they were doing some reworks on some ships. And one of the ships in particular was the Freelancer series. We've been asking about that. Yeah, almost same thing. We were looking at it and saying, is it the Freelancer? We knew that they had started doing work on the internal components and physicalized them. And we said, wow, maybe they are going to go ahead and do the Mark II or update series like they're doing on the Anvil ships, right? The F7 series of ships, the Hornets. And then we said, yeah, that looks like maybe that external wing that's on like the DUR or something like that. And we know it was missed. And then we noticed something. One of the things was that if you notice, there's those horizontal line patterns on that image, just like there is on this image, right? So we were hemming and hawing about this last night, trying to figure out what it was. And then Captain Jones said, I think I know what ship it is. Now, earlier that day when I talked to Paradise, I mentioned the ship that I thought it was, but it wasn't the Freelancer. And this is the ship that we think we came to the conclusion on that it is right here, right? Now, you say, what, Griff? Are you kidding me? Well, there's a couple reasons why. If you look at this image on the bottom, and I don't know if you guys can see it or not, or you can check your newsletter, you can see the chevrons on the ramp floor in the hangar. And you guys know what the scale of those chevrons are. Well, they're very small on here. And those two white lines are also lines that go onto the ramp as well. But here's the kicker. Take a look at that design right there. And then take a look at this design here. Look on the right side of the screen, which would be the left side of the ship, the port side. And if you look on that nacelle, you can see that there's that thingy right there. All right, see it? Right there. And right there. Now, you guys remember a couple of years ago, Jax went to Pyro and he lost the Odyssey. He took the prototype with him and he lost it. So here's my question to you all. Because Sir Togi said something yesterday that really stuck in my head afterward. And it was, does the introduction of the Odyssey, and I'm not saying it is, y'all, I'm just saying this is what we think, that if they introduce the Odyssey, and we know the Odyssey is about science exploration or whatever, was this a ship that they were working on quietly? Now, we saw the white box for this 2 years ago. The white box, gray box. We saw the gray box for this 2 years ago. And if you kind of put that in the context of time, like what they did with the Polaris, it took them about 2 years to get the Polaris together. And we knew they had this in gray box 2 years ago. And even though they were focusing in on the Polaris and the Galaxy and all that, it didn't mean that they weren't working on this. They never said anything other than we saw a gray box. So that we knew they were working on it. This ship is about the size. It's actually a little wider, but it's about the size of the Carrack. It's a pretty decent sized ship. Would this make sense to you with the introduction of Pyro? And if so, why? Because Togi mentioned a point about this being a waste, and I understood what he was saying. If this ship doesn't have functionality in some form, then we're just, as I told him last night, we're just getting another cargo ship. This ship is supposed to offer a lot of things. It's a medical area in it. It can self-sustain itself with fuel, which if you were in Pyro would be kind of nice, right? It has science areas in it. Cartography is in it. Introducing some of the mechanics that are in this ship could also be incorporated into the Carrack if the cartography and stuff was introduced in. So my question to you is, in 2954, is there a possibility that this will be a surprise for us at CitizenCon? That this ship will launch this year? And again, based upon the imagery that CIG has presented us with, this is done stuff. This is not concept stuff. When we get this, that means it's, gray box, white box, final polishing, whatever, usually when we see stuff like this. Do you think that this is a reality for this year? So jump on in, give me your thoughts. Do you agree with us? Do you agree with this assessment that this puzzle that we put together, that this is actually possibly a ship that nobody expected this quickly? A ship of this scale? Let's bring in Fast Cart first. We'll talk about it. FC.
Hey, so I don't know if you watched the last ISC from Thursday, but at the end of the ISC, there was a garbled voice from Jared. She was saying that one of the ships that Rontu was working on is coming out. Did you remember that?
No, I didn't watch all of it yet.
Oh, you didn't watch all?
I got about like 3/4 through and didn't finish it, so I have to finish watching it.
Oh, okay. Well, at the very end, he said that he's working on a new ship, and Jared actually said the word, but it was garbled. But the thing is, they didn't blur out his mouth. So I'm not good at. I'm okay at lip reading, but I couldn't figure out what he said. So I scrolled down in the comments. I'm not gonna say what he said. Okay. But I scrolled down in the comments. People were able to piece together what he said from lip reading.
Really?
And I will say, he did not say anything that sounded like mess. It sounded like another ship.
What was the manufacturer? Well, okay, here, let me back up a little bit too. Now you said,
yeah, I was gonna say
before you say that, let me say two things. One, there are 6 ships on the progress tracker. Well, we knew about this even before the project tracker, but there are 6 unannounced ships. That means those are ships that we don't know about. That's the first thing. Secondly, this ship has been in development. We do know that. Thirdly, I wouldn't be surprised if CIG. I haven't made my predictions yet about CitizenCon yet, but I have some predictions about CitizenCon. And I would not, because the Polaris is supposed to be scheduled for IAE, I've been saying what's going to be something major that they would kick out at this particular one, also tying in with Pyro. So for me, this ship makes sense. Now, whether it makes sense from a playability side, that's another story. But in relation to the storyline from Jax 4.0 Pyro, seeing the Odyssey now makes sense to me. But I'm going to say that for me does not take away anything from what you're saying, because you said that he said it's a new ship, you said, right?
Right.
Okay. And this ain't new. So if you saw something on that show, I'm curious to know what the manufacturer is, what the manufacturer they said they think it is.
Mirai. Which is, which is similar. I mean, not similar, but it's on the same line as Myth. So some of the stuff do quite carry over between Myth and Mirai.
Well, that's not that wasn't my point. I was going to say we already know there's a new Mirai ship coming out.
Yeah, we do.
So are you saying it's a different one, or is it the one that we already knew about from CitizenCon last year?
It's probably the same one, but I'm just saying that the sneak peek could be from the Mirai ship instead of being a Myth ship.
You think it might be that? Okay, even with the physical stuff I just showed you with the pictures, even though you see that wing,
it's possible. I say it's possible.
It could be.
Yeah.
True enough, because that is one of the ships that's still supposed to be delivered this year. The Mirai ship is. All right. I'd be a little disappointed if that's what it was, because we already knew that. But then again, a lot of the sneak peeks have been in relation to the ships that have been released from last year's CitizenCon. So it's a possibility, absolute possibility. Okay, I got to go back and watch that episode now. Thanks, buddy. Yep. All right, let me bring in Red Bear. Red, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
There he is.
Yeah. Well, to be short, I don't think it's Odyssey.
Okay.
Yeah.
You think it's the Mirai?
No, I think it's an Mark II freelancer.
Okay.
They're gonna do the same trick as with the Hornet, and then they say like, yeah, guys, ta-da, freelancer Mark II. Looks better.
Okay.
And give money. Yeah.
Okay. Fair
That's
enough.
A good story about it. Yeah.
Okay.
There's nothing. No, I don't think it's Odyssey, because it's another capital ship. They have the Polaris as a capital. They have the Perseus they have to do, and the Galaxy. So
okay, but they were working on this. But they were working on this. This was in Gray Box 2 years ago.
To counter that, they were working also on the Bounty Merchantman.
Yeah, but we know they stopped on that. They didn't say they stopped on this.
I know, but they didn't say they worked on this as either.
But they haven't said they're working on the freelancers.
No, but they didn't say they were working on the Mark II. But we saw it a couple of times. But
true.
Anyway,
true. Yeah, true.
I don't think it's going to come. So
okay,
yeah.
Okay, all right.
It's a nice thought, but I don't think it's coming.
Okay, fair. That's why I got a question mark. That's why I got a question mark up there. Okay, that's my waiver. That's my waiver out of this. Okay, we'll see. Thanks, buddy. All right, let me bring in Captain Serious Fun. Cap, you there?
Freelancer Steel.
Okay.
No, not I think that there is an opportunity for them to refresh the freelancer. Admiral Kusanagi has been begging for a re-examination of those seats in that interior and the usage of the space in the freelancer.
Okay.
But also, there is, for those who have been around a while, the freelancers' nacelles, those wings,
right?
They used to convert,
right,
and turn 90 degrees
True.
For VTOL. And maybe the freelancer Mark II could do that. So maybe that's why they're emphasizing those nacelles, because they're going to do something different than the does. Right. Now, all that being said, I had not thought about the Odyssey. And to your point, the Odyssey 1 was in Gray Box. They haven't told us they stopped working on it. It isn't the Banu Merchantman. That team left. So yeah, that team, major design folks who were envisioning the Banu Merchantman left the company. Right. That's what set that project back. We haven't had the same announcement or understanding of the Myst Odyssey. So I would not be surprised. And two, people say, well, you can't put the Odyssey out without gameplay. You could put the Odyssey out with the same gameplay that exists right now, because the Carrack is out with the same gameplay that exists right now. Now, what we would want would be a little bit more of gameplay features, right? What we would want was to see some gameplay feature introduced or moved forward to another tier to go alongside the Odyssey, but it wouldn't be necessary. And let me say this before Togi says it. new ships are a great deodorant when other things aren't going perfectly, right? New ships are a great deodorant, right? So we can always have our head turned by a new ship. And this is one of those ships that when they said it was a carrot killer, when Paul Jones, he was joking, right? But that was 2 weeks worth of content in the community, right? Because the carrot is viscerally understood, cargo issues aside, is viscerally understood to be a real utility ship, short, mid, and long-term ship. And so people are like, oh, there's going to be an alternative to that. And so this ship has been on the radar of lots of people for a long time. And to throw this out, if you have a CitizenCon that goes boom, Squadron 42 announcement, boom, 4.0 to 1.0 walkthrough, you're going to see all the planets that are going to comprise 1.0, and we're going to tell you what 1.0 is going to be. Boom, here's a new planet. Boom, Miss Odyssey on top of that. That's not a bad CitizenCon, right? Because, lots of times what'll happen at a CitizenCon is you'll get a concept announcement, right? So you get excited about it, but then you're 2 years away, right? To hit CitizenCon with a flyable announcement is a little bit more potent. Right? Yeah. So those are my thoughts.
Okay. All right. That's an interesting perspective. Thanks, Cap.
Freelance.
Yeah. Oops, I'm sorry. I pulled him out too quick. It's interesting. Paradis said something to me yesterday I laughed about, but he talked about, what's going on? It's so slow right now. They don't even have anything for us to buy, which is interesting. He's like, I want to spend some money. Oh, I'm the wrong channel. Oh, thank you, man. He said this thing about there was nothing to buy. Sorry, Cap. You're still here, so I don't have to let you go. You were saying something a second ago. But yeah, Paradis said, there's nothing to even buy right now, which I thought was pretty funny. What were you saying about Freelancer, though, Cap? You were saying something about Freelancer at the end there. I cut you out.
No, I just said Freelancer Steel. I'm just
Freelancer Steel. Oh, okay, Freelancer Steel. All right, thanks, buddy. All right. Thanks, Fist. I yanked myself out of my own room. I think Almost Over was next. Oh, no. Togi was next. Let me bring Togi in, I think, and then Almost Over, I think. Togi, you there?
What up?
Oh, good. Hey. Okay.
So, it's not that I don't think this might be the Odyssey. I would just absolutely hate it if it was.
Yeah. Yeah,
like,
you weren't dismissing it.
One of those things that I don't think we need right now.
Yeah.
Especially if it doesn't have its gameplay.
Yeah. Would you feel a little bit better if there was some type of something, like I mentioned, if they were to bring in some aspect of the exploration, like the cryptography, and let's say that they kicked it into the Carrack too? Would that, in other words, I do too want some functionality. I just don't want the ship to come into the game. Right. I mean, I own one, but again, it just becomes another ship that's in the game. I want something that what this ship is supposed to do to be with it. Would that make a difference for you in the sense of that for gameplay? Would it make more sense then, or you think there's just some other priorities?
No, I mean, I don't own one, so I just wouldn't care.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, it's just like there's a lot of ships that I think would have been
better priority,
really important. Yeah, especially with Pyro and being as big as it is. Looking at Liberator CIG. Should have been working on the Liberator.
Yeah,
CIG.
I like the Liberator too. Yeah, I think the Liberator would be good. Absolutely. Yeah, for folks with these smaller ships and stuff, and even medium ships, getting them around in the system, I would have loved to have seen. And I said that last year, even I would want the Liberator to be in with Pyro.
I mean, granted, though, I don't actually think it is the Odyssey.
The Odyssey might be something else.
I think it's something new.
Okay. And it's a fast card's point. Maybe it is that Mirai ship or whatever the ship is that's going to come out next. Maybe it will be that, we'll see.
Yeah, right. I mean, because they had that whole video from last HitCon, and I don't remember the Odyssey being in there.
Yeah.
And I think that if they were going to put it in, they would have been building up.
And dropped it in. Okay. Okie dokie. We'll see. Thanks, buddy. Yeah. All right. Let me bring in Almost Over. Almost. Hello.
Hey, buddy.
There he is. Hey, mate.
So, I mean, You guys just made me realize how much of a nerd I am. I pulled up like 80 images of the Freelancer and the Odyssey
comparisons
in like the past 2 minutes. You know, I want people to be happy. It's definitely not the Odyssey.
Okay.
And I'm saying definitely not, because one, the picture you have up right now doesn't really make sense, because no Misk has wings like that. I know they look similar, but no Misk has two connection points.
Look.
Yeah, I'm looking.
But this
that's
concept.
Look at the wing.
That's concept.
Yeah, I understand, but look at the wing and how it connects to the body.
Right.
It's all solid one piece, and if you go back to that image, it's two connecting little thin pieces. Right. So if you're an engineer, you would say these two small thin pieces wouldn't stay on this large ship.
I don't know. All I know is one is concept art, which is the ship, right? This one here is concept art. That is not out of engine. This is engine. And things change between concept art and engine. That's the only reason why I'm saying I don't know. All I know is we do. Well, okay, let me ask a question. Do we agree that might be a Misk ship because of the hull structure, the material used, and everything else?
I think it's a red herring. I think. Because my first thought.
Oh, it could be. If it's Mirai is the same thing, like with the Furies and stuff, right? They've got the same metal. Oh.
Well, here's the real kind of almost silver bullet to me.
Okay.
If you go to that image with the flap.
This one here? Or the other one? This one here?
No, that one.
Mm-hmm.
Large ships don't have moving parts on top of it, and so none of the large ships do.
Assumption that's on top, because we argued that might be underneath.
I mean, even if it was
flipping stuff, they've been flipping stuff on their images.
I understand, but so far in any of their design language for any of their large ships, they don't really have moving parts with, and even the only exception I could make for that is the Constellation series, and even then, it's not as big as the Odyssey.
So, what's your guess? Do you have a guess at we don't know? Do you have a guess at what that might be? Because I haven't been able to figure it out. Only thing I see paralleled is that those same painted stripes are on both versions. They do the same thing here. They do the same thing here. So my question, I don't know what the heck that is.
I think it's a mid to smaller size ship.
Okay.
And as far as manufacturer going, unfortunately for me, because I feel like they did this silver paint on purpose, because of the silver paint, I can't look past Misk. But I know it's not Misk.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I mean, it could be Misk still, but it's not the Odyssey. It could be a smaller. I doubt it would be like a mid-sized ship.
Okay.
And I vaguely remember somebody saying, this is just all complete hearsay. They could be working on a starter package Misk ship.
Okay.
So. It could be the Fury. I really don't know.
Yeah.
Or the Mirai. It could be Mirai. I really don't know. The silver is just clouding my judgment on what I believe it could possibly be.
Maybe a starter package Misk, but the Reliant at one point was their starter ship. So for Misk, so they got one technically. True. So agree. It could be. I don't know. I'm just, this is what we're looking toward, and that was the closest thing that we saw evidence of. My thing is, I'm trying to look at the pattern from the day of, like I said, Jax. We know that they introduced the Odyssey 3 years ago. It was 3 years ago when they introduced it with Jax. It was 2 years ago when they gave us the gray box on it, on the thing. It's been 2 years since, and I just wonder if this will be a surprise. That's all I'm seeing. It is a surprise. That's it, because of Pyro, and they tied it to Pyro before. So beyond that, I have no other evidence. None.
I personally would love to see it in the game. I would love to see people flying these things, even if whether they had a use or not. I would love larger ships coming into the game.
Okay.
I would love to see people out there enjoying their ships and being happy. But ultimately, I think.
So if you're taking a stab, what do you think it is?
Silver on purpose.
Give me your prediction. What do you think it is? What do you think it goes to? You said another, not Misk. Who would you guess it would be then?
Crap, man, I don't know. It just
okay, fair.
Like
fair.
you know me. I'm a huge fan of people having a certain type of design language. And the design language looks so much like Misk. And I think they did that on purpose. They purposely painted on silver. They purposely made it look like it's Misk just to throw everybody off. I really believe that.
Okay. All right. Something else, but it's not Misk, but it is something else. That's fair. Okay. Yeah. I'll buy that for $1. Thanks, bro. We'll see what happens. All right. Let me bring in Pops in Space and then Admiral, and then we're going to wrap it up. Pops.
Hey.
Yes, sir.
I do not think it's the Odyssey.
Okay.
And my reasoning to when you look at the Odyssey, that flap is not on there.
Okay.
Yeah, if you look at the if you flip back to the newer sneak peek that you.
Well, this is the first sneak peek. That's the first sneak peek.
The first one, right? That's the second one. I don't see anywhere where that flap is there. But if you look at the Odyssey from the top view, that flap's not. I don't see that flap anywhere on the top view.
Okay, so your vote on this is that this is something we haven't seen. It's a new ship. Then is that what you're feeling?
Yeah, that's really what I'm leaning for. That it's something brand new.
Okay.
It's brand new, something we haven't seen. Maybe it's a racer, or something like that. But I don't think it's the Odyssey.
Okay.
But you could be right. They could have added and changed the design, but I don't think it's the Odyssey because I don't see it. And I don't see a reason why they would add that on the Odyssey.
Okay.
What purpose would it serve?
That's fair. All right, Pops. Thank you much. All righty. We'll get the last vote here from Admiral Kusanagi. Admiral, who is vacationing right now. There he is. Hey, buddy.
I have to excuse myself if you hear people driving by and talking and stuff like that.
You're okay.
Okay. So I guess the idea is we're talking about the pictures that we chatted about. I mean, it could be the Odyssey that I think people are looking for. One thing I was hoping for was a Mark II for the Freelancer.
Okay.
Because I think I just hate those ships. They're so outdated. In terms of CitizenCon, I think I listened to Serious Fun, and he was saying, I think it was Serious Fun saying he was thinking it was going to be kind of like this trifecta of having the Odyssey ready and having the Polaris ready and 4.0 and Squadron 42 with potentially all these actors and stuff like that. My concern really comes down to them showing us where they were deadlocked in certain technological issues that have been making it so buggy as of late, and saying, hey, we've gotten past this hurdle and we're doing a lot better now.
So, I mean, are there any technological hurdles for something like an Odyssey, you're saying, or no? Because I'm not sure if there are any tech hurdles for that.
I just mean gameplay in terms
general.
of like, where CitizenCon needs to be is like, they've talked about server meshing and stuff like that. I want to see like a progression to that. In terms of the ship, I mean, it could very well be, hey, this is the Odyssey, and this is a new career field, like for survey that this ship is going to be utilizing, and that you can now use in the scan and the pyro system. Like that could be potentially like a selling point to it, because it's not really an exploration ship with the Carrack. I mean, I know people bought it because they thought it was like going to do Carrack stuff, but it's not designed to search for jump points and stuff like that. It's supposed to be a survey ship once you find a new planet or a jump point.
Yeah.
So if that's what this thing can do, I mean, it's another career field. Maybe it's another 2 career fields, because they have some type of additional science capability that we don't have about. Maybe they introduce a science capability that we haven't really talked about before.
Interesting. I'm curious as to, Togi mentioned something yesterday, which you know, and I know this is one of those things where CIG says something and then they don't follow through. And it was, you know, the statement that they had made that when they introduced ships, that they wanted to make sure that if they brought in a ship, that that its functionality would also be a part of that introduction. And admittedly, it is frustrating when you have a ship brought in and it supposedly is supposed to be bringing some new level of gameplay, and it ends up not being there. And which is why I say it just becomes another cargo ship. You know, it's a ship that's, you know, it's there, but the most you can do is put some cargo in it and run around with some people. I'm looking forward to, you know, when these ships come out now, that it introduces some new level or enhanced level of gameplay that we already have in the game. And you know, Togi's point about, you know, we have plenty of exploration ships already in the game, and they have yet to have any of their functionality introduced. So that does become a bit frustrating. At least for me, I would love to see that gameplay actually starts to be incorporated when a ship like the Odyssey. That's why I said if the Odyssey comes in, maybe if cartography is working and scanning, then that also gets passed on to a ship like the Carrack, or it gets passed on to the Aquila. You know, I would want to start seeing that come alongside stuff, not just putting the ship in because, well, you know, we can put another ship in the game. But that's just me. You know, that's just me how I feel about it right now. But we'll see. You know, if it's a freelancer, it'd be interesting. Mm-hmm.
There's no reason to have the Carrack in the game because we don't need to find systems right now. Perhaps I'm not sure if Pyro is going to allow us to. I know they've talked about it, but like, you know, finding smaller jump points that you don't have to take the regular ones. But I don't think that's ready to go. Yeah. But perhaps a survey ship to be able to tell, hey, there's a location here that's better for your prospectors, better for your Argo mole, and we can test those systems in the game right now when we release Pyro, or when we just put it in the game. Because Stanton needs the same stuff. Like right now, I go to a prospector with a group of people in a mole, and we're just winging it. Mm-hmm. You know, just like, oh well, there might be some areas over here. This is always treating me well. That's kind of like how it goes. Mm-hmm. But if you got the Odyssey there, it's like, oh well, this sector here is good, and we've marked this one, and it has this type of minerals. And then you just be like, hey, call somebody up on the phone and be like, hey, bring 3 ships over. Yeah. And then, you know, because you marked it or whatever. However they're going to work that. But I think almost like the Odyssey is in a better point right now if it came out as is, ready to go off the shelf, compared to, say, an exploration ship or jump points. Because right now we just have 2 major locations coming up. You know, we have Stanton, of course, and then Pyro. Yeah. So the Odyssey may be actually more beneficial for people right now because of that.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Time will tell. We're only a couple weeks away now, a few weeks away now from CitizenCon, and if this is going to be unveiled, whatever it is, I'm curious to see whether or not there's a sale beforehand too. Remember last year the F8 came out before CitizenCon. I'm curious to see if CIG is going to do something similar this year, where they'll do some type of, you know, I had said before I thought the F8 could have came out of CitizenCon and it would have sold just as well, but they put it out beforehand, and I'm wondering if they're going to, whatever this is we're looking at, whatever the ship is, whether they'll do something similar this year.
That's a sticking point because you know, something I think it was Serious Fun said that, you know, oh well, we've got these things coming out, and that was one thing I picked up on. Like, well, I want a concept ship that's not 2 years, because originally they were like, oh, we're gonna make ships that are like, you know, ready to go off the shelf as soon as they release it. Like, hey, here's a concept ship, it's ready now. This is how we're going to be doing our thing. And maybe I think eventually it was like, oh, we're going to do one concept and then one, you know, ready to sell, and then might come out in a little bit. But if they wanted to release, say, a medium-sized ship, like a science ship, like I've always been saying, we need a medium science ship so they can just talk about science, so they can push that whole career field, whatever they want to talk about it. But I want to see a ship that's like, hey, here's this big $450, $700 ship, and it's ready to go right now. We're not going to wait 2 years to get it, and we're trying to get these out quicker and quicker and quicker for you. And if they want to release the Odyssey, fine, release the Odyssey. Okay. But I want to see stuff like I want to see it going that way.
Okay. All right, Admiral. Thank you much. Okay. Yeah, it's interesting. You know, there are some people who want to see the new type of stuff, like Admiral saying, introduced. Then there are the other people who say you already got enough stuff out there, deal with the stuff you've already got. It's like, you know, a little bit of both. I'm not sure Each one is the better way to go sometimes, because obviously we get excited about new ideas and new features that CIG introduces. But then at the same time, there is that backlog that's out there for us to address as well. So again, we shall see. We shall see. Okay. Well, you guys gave some great thoughts and comments. I was trying to keep up with all the stuff you guys were writing in. Yo-Yo Meg, by the way, good to see you, Meg. Hope you're doing good. We're covering a lot of stuff here today, and you guys have been very, very gracious by sharing your thoughts with me. So we're gonna wrap it up. We're gonna get ready to do our raid. We're gonna go, as always, as you guys know. It's Podset Saturday for us, where we partner with other content creators in the Star Citizen community. In particular, with Paul Shelley, the Astropub with Captain's Table. They're going to be starting in just a few minutes. They're warming up over there now. And then later on this evening, the guys over at Relay SC, great group that have been around for quite a while, streaming, giving information about Star Citizen. So you guys have a whole Saturday afternoon and evening of nothing but Star Citizen content and conversation. Tomorrow, unfortunately, I did not have time to get the marketing stuff together. Oh, it's terrible. We were supposed to be doing a show tomorrow called Bounty Hunting 2.0. Meg, I think you were scheduled for tomorrow. We are going to change that topic. We were hoping that CIG was going to put out more information by now on bounty hunting, but it has just not been coming, at least not to the point where I felt we had plenty of content to talk about. Because I was also hoping that 324 was going to be active and some other stuff. But anyway, the show that we're going to be doing tomorrow is called Potent Components. We're going to be talking about components. And I know that might sound like a real dry subject, but I think that it's going to be important for us to talk about because of the physicalization of items in the game. And I'm not sure that we as players know completely how in-depth they want components to become. Beyond just making them physicalized, but there's a lot more gameplay involved when it comes to engineering and components. And so tomorrow we're going to be covering all this stuff about the different grades, categories, the sizes, talking about the various components that will go into your ship, how these things will actually have a tremendous amount of impact on your wallet and your playability in the game. So that's going to be our topic tomorrow. So there's going to be some advertising that'll go out tonight and tomorrow to remind you guys that the topic has changed from Bounty Hunting 2.0 to Potent Components, but that's going to be our subject for tomorrow. So hopefully you guys will be able to enjoy that conversation with us tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern time. As I just said, we're getting ready to get ourselves up for our raid with our good friend Paul Shelley. So let me get that together here. Fastcard has already set me up. So we can get ready to do that. He's got Radar Ranger and Nazareth on today, and they are talking about server meshing revisited. So it's a continuation somewhat from our conversation today. So hopefully you guys can go over there and give some love to Paul Shelley. Thank you again to everybody who came on board and chatted with us today. All the great ideas you guys shared. And as always, thank you guys for the support. Those who followed, those subscribed. We always appreciate you guys when you do that. We really appreciate you guys supporting the Soul Citizens. And other than that, hopefully we'll see you tomorrow evening, 7 p.m. Eastern time for Potent Components. Let's get ready to do our raid with the great Paul Shelley, the Astropub. And as always, stay safe, take care of yourselves, and peace, love, and soul.
They're going to monitor the Earth for